Isa pa sa nakikita ko na kadalasan hindi nasasagot or nagiging problema ng mga estudyante during defense na tinatanong ng panel ay yung paggawa ng conclusions at ng recommendations. Ang conclusions ay base sa findings ng iyong study. So kung meron kang 3 research problems, you have 3 conclusions. Kasi binabase mo yung conclusion mo dun sa mga findings na nakita mo. You don't include conclusions which are not part of the scope or which is not part of your study. Lahat ng conclusions na gagawin natin ay base sa findings ng study natin. Isa pang na-observe ko sa paggawa ng conclusions dapat hindi na isinasite yung findings. Kaya nga ang tawag sa kanya is conclusions. It's actually the meaning and the summary of the results of your study. Hindi mo na nilalagay yung mga numbers or numerical findings sa iyong conclusions. Next, yung recommendations. Ang recommendations ay base sa conclusions mo at sa findings. So ano ba yung nangyari? So kung ito yung findings mo at conclusions, what do you recommend? And the same with conclusions, you don't put recommendations if it is not part of your study. During the course of your study, kung meron ka na-observe pero hindi naman siya part ng study mo at ilalagay mo sa iyong recommendations, hindi siya po pwede. Because these are all based on the findings of your study. I myself, as a panel members, if you're going to ask me how many recommendations, ma'am, it's up to you as a researcher. As long as yung mga recommendations mo are doable, at the same time, ina-address nito yung specific problem na nakita mo dun sa iyong research paper na kailangan bigyan ng solusyon. Another problem during research defense na medyo nakakaapekto sa results ng study ng researcher kaya siya nagiging question ay yung sampling and sample size or use of the population. So pag sinabi nating population, ikinoconsider mo lahat ng mga possible respondents mo dun sa iyong study. Pag sinabi mo namang sample, it's a portion of the population. So meaning, meron kang statistical treatment na gagamitin para makakuha ka ng portion ng sample. Now, ang nagiging problema ng mga researcher sa kanilang paper ay most of the time, kung ilan yung gusto nila na number of respondents, yun lang nilalagay nila. Remember, this is research. It is a systematic and scientific process. So, dapat lahat ng decision-making na gagawin natin that is included in our paper must be scientifically based. Meron tayong pinagbasihan. So, in that case, anong statistical treatment ang ginamit mo para makapag-come-up ka dun sa number of respondents mo? So, you will not say, ma'am, kailangan ko lang po ay 50 kasi yun po yung kaya ng budget ko. No. You should have a reason behind that 50 number of respondents. Kung kayo naman ay qualitative, ang nagiging problema ng mga researcher is that to justify bakit yun yung number of purposeful sample mo. So kung meron kang 5, 6, 7, 8 or 10, anong dahilan? No, kung bakit sila yung naging number of participants mo. Kasi meron kang sineset na criteria. Exclusion, tsaka inclusion criteria. Minsan naman, kung hindi ka nag-set ng number of participants mo, binabase mo siya sa data saturation. Na kung nag-conduct ka na ng interview at na-reach mo na yung number of participants at wala ka nang makuhang new information, titigil ka na sa pag-interview. Yun yung mga dahilan na kadalasan hindi sinasabi ng researcher or hindi niya na-i-include sa kanyang research paper. Kasi kung ako yung panel members, I will be doubtful. Ilan ba yung naging interview participants mo? Kung sasabihan mo ko ng 50 or 50, I will be amazed as a panel members because I will have to ask you, how did you handle the 50 participants? Handling 6 to 10 participants is really very difficult during an interview, even if it's an individual or face-to-face interview. Imagine how many interviews you are going to conduct and how have you handled the interview at the same time, paano mo hinandle yung data? O, paano ka nagkaroon ng thematic analysis out of your 50 participants? So, meron ka dapat basihan sa number of participants mo or number of respondents sa iyong research paper. Ito pa, yung isa sa mga tanong ng panel members na kadalasan nahihirapan yung estudyante na sagutin, yung research design. So, what's the design that you have used in your research? Ang design ay nakadepende sa inyong statement of the problem or your research questions. Pag tinignan ko yung research question mo, at nakalagay doon is what are the lived experiences, I do not expect that it will be a design that is for quantitative. So, syempre, qualitative. It can be phenomenological, a case study, narrative, ethnography, grounded theory. Dapat yun yung design mo. So, hindi ako dapat makakakita dyan ng experimental o kaya naman ng descriptive survey, correlational, or causal comparative. Kasi pang quantitative yon. So, yun na yung nagiging problema. Tandaan din natin, no, kapag ang research questions natin ay hindi nag-fit dun sa ating research design at tapos na yung ating study, pwedeng ipaulit sa atin yung ating research paper kasi mali yung ginawa natin. We cannot get the correct data just because mali yung design na ginamit natin. So, dapat tama. Kailangan tayo magpa-assist sa ating research advisor kung yung research questions natin ay nag-fit dun sa ating research design para wala tayong maging problema later on. Another question is the method. Okay? Ang method ay iba sa methodologies or research design. So, ang methods, ito yung mga specific structure or processes na ginagamit natin para makuha natin yung data. Yung design is our general plan. Okay? So, for example, your design is experimental. Okay? Through experimental research, particularly pre-test, post-test control group design. So, meron ka experimental at meron ka ring control group na sinelect mo randomly. What will be your method? Now, if your study is all about talking intervention of instructional materials, so syempre ang pwede mong gamiting method dyan ay magbibigay ka ng test sa iyong mga estudyante. So, you can have pre-test and post-test exam. That will be your method. Okay? So, example naman, another is that your study is all about the performance of teachers. So, your design can be descriptive survey. No? But your method is that you're going to give them survey instrument. Or, you might use documentary analysis or interview. So, magkaiba ang design sa methods. So, kadalasan, pag tinanong ang estudyante, during defense, what is the design of your research? Ang sinasabi niya, methods. I use interview, that is a method. No, I use document analysis, that is another method of getting your data. Okay, I use this statistical analysis, that is a method of analyzing your data. So when you said, what is your design? So you have to state what is specific design. Is it experimental? What type of experimental design? Is it descriptive, survey, correlational, evaluative, or causal comparative? Or if it is a mixed methods, what type of mixed methods that you have to use? The basic, you have explanatory sequential, you have exploratory, or you have convergent. So, dapat alam natin yung basic ng research design na ginamit natin. Kung ako sa inyo as a researcher, kung meron na kayong research questions, identify kayo ng research design, at magbasa kayo ng mga article tungkol doon sa research design na gusto ninyong gamitin. Pwera pa, or aside from the advice of your research advisor. Isa pa na nagiging problema ng researcher during the panel defense is yung chapter 4 or chapter 3 as the case may be, yung findings or yung interpretation of results. Isa sa nagiging problema ng researcher ay pinipili lang natin kung ano yung gusto nating i-explain. Minsan, halimbawa, you are asking for a significant difference. So, ang ine-explain mo lang yung merong significant difference. Pero yung walang significant difference, hindi mo siya ine-explain. So, nakakalimutan mo na siya. Ganun din sa qualitative research, hindi natin masyadong na-emphasize kung ano yung thematic analysis ng ating research. At minsan, hindi tayo nagiging objective at tinitignan natin, ano ba yung findings ng study? So, kung meron siyang difference, as to what extent? Lagi lang tayong tumitingin or nakakahon tayo, sabi nga nila, no? Dun sa figures na nakikita natin. Pero yung meaning behind the figures, hindi natin siya ma-interpret. Sa interpretation ng data natin, we have a textual interpretation. But behind all of this, dapat meron tayong implications. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng numbers na yon? Para mas madaling maintindihan ng readers natin. So, kung merong relationship, yung dalawang variables, what's next? So, what will be the explanation? So, what is the meaning of that? Or ano yung po pwedeng maging implication nun dun sa inyong study? Huwag na tayong yung tinatawag nating cherry picking na kung ano lang yung gusto natin, yun lang yung kinukuha natin para ma-explain natin sa ating study. Pero meron pang ibang side, yung results ng ating study or yung findings na po pwede nating explain, expound para mas maging maganda yung result or yung interpretation ng findings natin. Lastly na nakikita kong problema ng mga researcher during defense at hindi nila masagot ay yung research gap. Ang research gap, dapat nauuna yan sa research. Bago ka magkaroon ng title, bago ka magkaroon ng chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, dapat clear sa mind mo as a researcher ano yung gap na gusto kong i-fill or ano yung problem na gusto kong i-address. So, dapat expected sa researcher na sa simula ng iyong research, nagbabasa ka ng mga literature. Kasi yung literature na publish, sa yung magbibigay sa'yo ng gap. So, kapag nabasa mo yung mga literature on a certain topic na ina-eye mo na pag-aralan, makikita mo doon kung ano yung mga existing published materials. At from that specific published materials, makikita mo yung particular na limitation ng mga materials na yon na pwede mong i-address as your research gap at po pwede mong gawin sa iyong research study. Yung research gap, commonly ay in-establish yan kung wala kayong background of the study sa introduction ng paper nyo. So, dapat nakikita ko yan as a panel member. Commonly, iyan yung number 1 question ng mga panel. Ano ba yung problema na gustong sagutin ng researcher? Yun yung research gap. At madalas sa simula pa lang, hindi niya na masagot. Kasi nga, hindi niya alam kung ano yung problema na gusto niyang sagutin. Kasi kadalasan, ang ginagawa ng researcher, maghahanap ka ng title na gusto mo, tapos aaralin mo na, maggagawa ka na ng sarili mong title. Pero ang tanong doon, saan mo kinuha yung title mo? Okay? So, dapat meron ka munang topic. From that topic, dapat meron kang problem na ma-identify. Tapos, saka ka lang gagawa ng title. Pero bago ka makapunta sa title, dapat nagbabasa ka muna ng literature. So, from this literature, makikita mo kung ano pa yung kailangan mo i-address. Ito yung isa sa mga nagiging dahilan kung bakit dumadami ang mga natatapos na research paper pero wala namang nare-resolve na problem. Kasi nagpapatong-patong lang yung mga research pero actually, at the end of the day, when you ask the researcher, what is the research gap that you want to address, they cannot answer. So, pag magde-defend kayo ng inyong thesis or any research project, dapat maliwanag sa inyo kung ano ang research gap na gusto nyong i-fill or ano yung problem na gusto nyong sagutin. Pero another tip, kung sasagutin nyo man siya at ilalagay nyo sa inyong paper at sasabihin nyo during panel defense, dapat meron kang basis. Saan nakuha yan? Sinong nagsabi niyan? And these are from published materials. This is not based on your observation. You don't put opinionated statement or your observation as a researcher in your research paper as part of filling the gap. So, it must be a published material. That ends our lesson video. I hope na kapag kayo ay magde-defense na or kung sooner or later ay magde-defense na kayo ng inyong thesis, tandaan nyo yung mga points na sinabi ko because I assure you, these are the common questions na tinatanong ng panel members during the defense. Ito ay lahat part ng inyong research paper. Ang tip ko lang sa inyo, ang mga isasagot nyo, dapat nagmumula lahat dun sa isinamit ninyong research paper for defense sa inyong panel members. Hindi kayo po pwedeng sumagot ng wala sa konteksto ng inyong research paper. Dapat lahat yan ay nakabase dun sa research paper na natapos ninyo or gagawin pa lamang ninyo. So sana nakatulong ako sa inyo kung paano kayo maghahanda sa inyong defense, whether it is a proposal or final defense. I hope that you can prepare for this defense and I wish you all good luck. So laging tandaan, matatapos din lahat ng iyan sa tulong ng mga tao sa paligid nyo, lalo na ang panel members at ang inyong research advisor. Siyempre, kailangan magtulungan din kayo kung kayo ay isang grupo ng mga researchers. You can take part on each section of your research paper para mas mabawasan yung burden na pwede nyong i-carry as a researcher. Please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. Gusto ko magpasalamat sa mga bagong members ng ating YouTube community sa panonood nyo dito sa ating lesson video. Please subscribe para updated kayo sa mga latest lesson videos na ipopost pa natin sa ating YouTube channel. Always remember, we unlock insights to empower your minds. Thanks for watching everyone, and God bless.